Hi everyone, and welcome to our bus. This is the Happie Skoolie. I am Julie, and this is my husband Don, and we are going to show you a final tour of the bus now that it is finished. Although, will it ever be totally finished?
No.
No.
Not if you have anything to do with it.
Not if I have anything to do with it. It will never be totally finished, but here is a tour. You will notice this time of year we have added a few Christmas touches. One of the first things we realized when we emptied the bus was that I did not have a place to sit when we drove. So the first couple of times Don drove by himself and I followed in the car. But we knew we needed a place for me to sit. So we did some hunting and we found a couple of seats at a salvage yard. We had a couple of requirements, one of which was that the one that would be mine would have a built-in seat belt for safety. And we also wanted it to be able to swivel. So when we drive, clearly I need to face front, but when we're parked, I wanted the seat to be able to turn to be part of that living space. So we found the seats at a salvage yard. I think they were out of a Nissan, I don't know. Took them all apart, took all the padding off, took all of the covers off, washed everything, cleaned everything up really good, modified the base significantly, but then we built a special platform and we built the base so that the seat will swivel. When I rode in it the first time, I realized that I could see out of the front door while we were driving, and that was a little stressful. And so we had to build a dashboard essentially for me. So that's what this is. It's a custom dashboard. It's custom fit to the angle of the steps as you come into the bus. I needed some space for my phone or a drink. We have a special cup holder here. The top is a piece of live edge that we found and finished up real nicely. You'll see more of this piece later on. But this was how we got the seat that is mine for driving and is part of our living space.
So this is obviously the driver's position. We did a lot of work to the dashboard to make it functional and not look like a school bus, so to speak. There was a whole console right here with switches and knobs and dials and whatever, most of which was used for the internal function of the school bus, like heating and things of that nature. So we actually relocated all those to this other side over here, which you can't see very well because I'm blocking it. I built this because I needed, when we first bought the bus and we drove it back here from Texas, I quickly realized, we drove it in August and it was 94 degrees that day, and the first thing I realized was that there are no cup holders in a school bus. So I wanted to have some place where I could put a drink, maybe a can of Pringles or something, someplace to put my phone. The bus did come with these fans that were already in it. So we actually purchased new fans because the old ones looked like they came out of a school bus. Not that these don't, but so everything works. Fans work. We kept all the gauges on the dashboard. We did change the steering wheel, so I have a leather-wrapped 3-prong steering wheel, which makes it drive down the road pretty good. I mean, the steering wheel doesn't make it drive, but it makes it handles really well. Being able to grab anywhere on the steering wheel is a bonus. I also opted for several monitors up here. This monitor controls our cameras, so the bus has cameras all the way around it, 360 degrees. There are 4 cameras that monitor the sides and the back, and then there's an additional camera that looks out the front. So when we're driving down the road, everything around us is recorded, and that's just for safety's sake. And the cameras also allow me a better view. For instance, when we built the back of the bus, we completely closed off all the glass back there, so you can't see out of the back of the bus. So the only way you can see where you're backing up is by camera. And then I have an iPad that runs with a Blue Fire, and a Blue Fire is an instrument that connects to the bus, and it feeds important information like coolant temperature and RPMs and speed and whatever else to the iPad. So essentially it's almost like a glass cockpit if you know anything about airplanes. And then we redid the sides over here. We've got our gear shift and different buttons and switches, and all that's in wood to kind of match the center console thing that we built here. So all in all, this area is kind of an evolution. It's still kind of changing as we use it and see what we need up here. We may change some things, but came out pretty good, pretty slick, pretty clean, which is kind of what we wanted. And we'll just make changes as we need to. So the couch actually came from Walmart. Our son lives out of state, and we had moved him to where he's living now. And one of the things that he needed was a couch. And so we went to Walmart and we found a couch and we purchased it and we brought it to his apartment, and we got it there and started putting it together. And I don't remember which one of us said, "Hey, this looks like a nice couch, we should put one in our bus." but that's essentially what we did. So we ordered it on Walmart. We got it here, and of course, like everything else of the bus, it did not fit, which meant that we had to make custom legs for it so that it would fit over the wheel well of the bus. And wheel wells are a constant pain in the butt, but they're just part of a bus. Nothing you can do about them. And so we made custom legs and installed the couch. And so it actually, not only is it a couch, but it also serves as a second sleeping area, because we installed it in such a way so that you could get the full functionality of the couch, which means that you can actually pull it out, it lays down, and it makes like a full-size bed. So theoretically, if we ever wanted to have guests, they would have a place to sleep.
We debated a long time about whether or not we wanted a dining area in the bus. Every inch counts. The design went through 100 different variations, but ultimately we wanted a space where if we wanted to sit down somewhere other than the couch, if we wanted to eat or have a cup of coffee or work, we could. So we used the other piece of the live edge, like you saw on my little dashboard. Found these stools that just work so perfectly. And we have a dining area. So it's nice to be able to sit here in the morning or in the evenings. We can have our meal. We can look out at whatever view that we're looking at. It just exactly fits a laptop. So if you want to work in the bus, you can. And so this is our little dining space in the bus.
So like everything else, the kitchen was very much a labor of love. The size of the kitchen was basically determined once you subtract how much was needed for the bedroom and you subtract what was needed for the living room. What was left over was just going to be kitchen. So we went through a couple of different layouts. We eventually came up with kind of an L pattern for the countertops. And so once that was determined, then we went about and custom made everything in the kitchen. All the counters are all the cabinets are custom made. The doors, we made the doors. We didn't make the countertops. We purchased those from a local home supply store and then very carefully cut them to accommodate all of the appliances and the sink. You'll notice that the countertops are two different levels, and that's really because to save as much space as possible, we knew we wanted to put the refrigerator underneath the range, but we had to have X amount of room for the range, and then we had to have X amount of room for the refrigerator, so that when you open the doors, you can actually reach down into it. And as a result of that, we wound up with this kind of a split level countertop thing, which actually we think looks pretty neat. It also helps us hide some things like the button for the water pump and different stuff like that. I can tell you that it's pretty easy to cook in. It's really easy to clean stuff up in. And it came out pretty good, if we do say so ourselves.
Designing and building the bathroom was probably the biggest challenge, not only for the design part of it, but also for the build. Making sure that we had the comforts that we wanted without taking up as much space. So trying to determine what is the least amount of space you can have and still take a shower. What is the least amount of space that the sink can take up. And then designing it, finding the appropriate tile to put on the wall, and finding a mirror, those kinds of things in a little tiny sink. Those were super fun. One of the things that you will notice is the white square box. So we used the original safety kit that was originally part of the bus and painted it white, so it opens up and has little shelves, so now we can use it as a little medicine cabinet, keep toothbrushes and toothpaste and that sort of thing in. So I'm quite pleased with the way that it turned out, the way that we managed the curved ceiling and all that kind of good stuff. It turned out really nice, and I'm super proud of it. The sleeping space, or the bedroom area of the bus, also went through lots and lots of planning. Every possible inch was needed for the bathroom, which you'll see in a minute, and the bed. We have a unique situation in our sleeping arrangements in that Dawn has to sleep at a certain angle. So we needed to make sure that we had two separate mattresses. And that one of them could be inclined. So we ended up having custom mattresses made. We found a place locally who does custom mattresses for truckers, and so we were able to give them the exact specifications we want. And so when I told him that I wanted two mattresses that were 23 inches wide each, he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely sure." So we have not quite a double bed, but it works for us, and it's nice and cozy back here. We put up a shelf. The shelf was part of a quilt rack that my grandfather made for us when we first got married, and so it was a nice way to kind of bring in his memory. He would have thought this was super cool because he was a carpenter, and so we brought that in. And then our birds, I'm a big fan of Be the Bird and their artwork, and so these are our birds, and it says, "Ruffle my feathers like you do, like nobody else can do." So anyway, this is our sleeping space. We did put the screen, if you will, on the bottom of the windows. I wanted to be able to still maybe have the curtains open to let breeze come in if we wanted to have the windows open in the evenings, but I didn't want I didn't want you to be able to see through the windows right into the bedroom space, so we did that as well. And then under the bed, you'll see all kinds of things from the back, from the garage. You'll see all of the storage and that sort of stuff, and then on the front there is a drawer that you can get to from the inside as well.
The beds are just made out of, for all you other Skoolie owners out there, the beds are slat beds, so the mattresses can breathe. I basically used 3/4 inch plywood, and cut slats out of that plywood, and then turn the plywood on edge to provide the structural strength that was required in order to make the frame for the bed. And then in order to, so both beds are actually adjustable, and they will both lay flat or they will both recline, and they have different angles of recline. And all that was accomplished by just hinging the beds at about a third of the way from the head. And the bed actually sits, thanks to Chuck Cassidy, the bed actually sits on 3 pieces of 1 by 2 inch box steel. So you literally could probably park a car on the bed and it wouldn't go anywhere. So we're able to have the entire underneath of the bed as one open span because we use that steel in the construction instead of using wood. But all in all, it turned out pretty good. 23 inches doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not a whole lot, but it's really quite comfortable. The mattresses are very comfortable. We've been on a couple of trips now, and the bed has functioned above my expectations, if I'm honest.